Dun, 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 dun. It's Caleb Jones, and this is Alpha Male 2.0, the highlight of your week. Dun, 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 dun. I'd play the song or else this video would get taken down. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome. We're going to discuss today. Well, you know what we're discussing because you see the title of the podcast, the video, right? Right. This is Alpha Male 2.0, freedom focused lifestyle design for men. Location independent income through your own business, dating multiple attractive women all at the same time with no drama or problems or lying. The freest lifestyle the modern man can live in the collapsing civilization in which we live. As usual, I will chill for a few minutes before we get into our primary topics today. We have two today. They are closely related. A few things that a few people have been asking about. One is this UFO that was caught. There's this footage of the UFO. Now they're UAPs. Yeah, let's keep changing the name of shit. I love it when people do this. It's great. Let's keep changing the names of things for no fucking reason. I'm going to still call them UFOs. It was taken in 2018. Looks like a jellyfish. It was floating over what was it? Iraqi military base, one of our bases. And it's the most detailed pictures we have of a UFO up till now. And apparently there was a hearing about this. And one of the Congress people, a Congresswoman, actually came out and said, stop thinking about aliens and life on other planets and start thinking about extra dimensional beings. Stuff that you couldn't talk about. So interesting. Interesting about this is that after thinking about this morning, it actually is less unlikely. It's not likely, but it's less unlikely to have visitors from another dimension than it is to have visitors from another star, because of the sheer amount of time it would take to get here via conventional means from another star, another planet, especially considering we don't see any signals coming from anywhere. That would take a long ass time. Whereas coming here for another dimension, a higher dimension, is it difficult for us in the third dimension to look at two-dimensional objects? No, because we're above, we can look down. So in a way, it actually is more plausible to think they're from another dimension than from another planet. And or Occam's razor suggests that these things are from our government. And as I've talked about in other videos, you know, there's technology they have that we're not aware of. That is maybe decades ahead of what we would see. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But it's pretty interesting. You can go YouTube that video. Jellyfish UAP Iraqi Air Force Base. Just Google that, and it's pretty crazy. It's taken with infrared, and that's only 2 minutes. They actually have 17 minutes of it where it actually flies over the base, goes into a lake, goes underwater, then comes up out of the water and goes in the sky. Shit, pretty crazy. What was the other thing you guys were asking me about? Oh, and I saw this over the weekend. The George Carlin AI. So you could Google Dudesy on YouTube. So you could YouTube search, not Google. Dudesy, Dude, S-E-Y, Dudesy, George Carlin AI. It's an entire hour of George Carlin with new material from stuff happening right now. Totally written and created by AI. And it sounds pretty good. And it's actually funny. I listened to the whole hour. It's actually kind of funny. And it sounds just like shit he would say. It's eerie. It's insane. Crazy shit. And as I've talked about on Sovereign CEO channel, AI is going to be a problem, not because AI is a problem. AI is great. It's that people in the collapsing Western world aren't ready for what's going to come in the next few years, in my opinion. I think it's going to cause a lot of problems. Not because of AI, because of the people. Just like with COVID. I said, and I was right, COVID won't be the problem. It'll be people overreacting to the COVID. That'll be the problem, and I was right. I think AI is going to be the same thing. AI won't be the problem. It'll be people overreacting to the AI. It's going to be a real problem. I'm not looking forward to that. I could be wrong, though. Who knows? Did you hear about Gonzalo Lira? I don't even know how that is. As usual, I don't follow red pill guys. I don't follow red pill influencers. I don't have time. Having 100% kid logistics with an OLTR to get her the kids and pets have a separate home 2 miles away, have nannies, tutors, Home tapers handle 80% and the OLTR the last 20%. What's your question? I understand your question. You have a question mark. I understand your question. I don't know. Out of all the Nordic countries, which are you most interested in visiting? Norway. It's on the list. I'll visit Norway at some point. I'm going to go to Kazakhstan, greatest country in the world. I'm going to go to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan shortly. I was going to go this month because it's just a hop, skip, and a jump where I'm in Dubai. But then I looked at the temperature and it's negative 22 degrees. Oh, yeah. So I think I'll wait a month. And I know some people in Kazakhstan, and I said it was specifically, what city? I'm going to Tashkent in Uzbekistan. I'm going to, where am I going? Not Almaty, Astana. So the city of Astana right now is negative 22 degrees. And I was like, hey, in I know people there. I have actually an FB there. I don't go there, but she comes to, I can't give you specifics, but anyway, I have an FB there. And so I said, hey, is it going to be colder or warmer in February? Because sometimes it's colder in the February. She says, no, it's a lot warmer in February. I said, I'm going to wait till February. All right, good. So I'm going there. But yeah, I would go to Norway. Yeah, that'd be cool. Scandinavia is beautiful. It's socialist. It's beautiful. Rape capital of Europe, because of various things, but it's beautiful. How often do you go for a haircut to optimize your appearance? Me? Well, I have fake hair, so a little different for me. So I can't give you the exact, what I say won't matter to you. 3 weeks-ish, but I have fake hair, so it's different for me. Plus, I dye the hair, dye the sides a little bit. So it depends on how old you are, if you dye your hair, how fast your hair grows, what your haircut is. If you keep it really short, you have to go in more often. If you keep your hair long, that's why a lot of guys have long hair. You don't have to go in nearly as often. Mine's pretty short. I like mine short. I just don't like long hair. I had long hair when I was a kid. High school into my early 20s. I looked like, here's what I used to look like. I should bring some pictures up these days, of when I was in high school. Google Richard Marx. Richard Marx from the 80s. That's the hairstyle I had. Big, giant 80s rock star hair. Then later I had a ponytail because I wanted to look like Steven Seagal. True story. And it didn't work because my hair is so bushy and like wavy. So it wouldn't stay as a ponytail. It would like spread out. It was stupid. So, when we were kids, it was the 80s. What can I say? Any thoughts entering in a parenting agreement with someone who is not an OLTR screening legal? Let's talk about that. We'll talk about that. Ask me that again. We'll talk about that. You guys asked me a lot of questions. Wow. On this kid stuff. Damn. Shit. All right. I picked a good topic. Well, these two topics are topics you guys have asked about. That's why I picked them. So I'm already getting a lot of questions. So I'll rewind the questions. Matter of fact, let's start soon here. I'll start now. One more thing. Let's see. Big fan of your content. Have you ever noticed you need to lead with Sugar Wealth DHVs, even on normal apps, to get a stand of getting leads during your dating blitzes? Here's the danger with doing that. And I've had a problem with this in the past. The danger with doing that is you're going to attract a bunch of gold diggers. And I've had that challenge where you attract a bunch of, when you start talking about I'm successful and I have my own company and I make a lot of money, and you start even saying or implying these things, you get a whole bunch of hot girls who are like, so here's one of my favorite stories. This is many years ago. 25 years old, looked like Pink Firefly. It was like Barbie blonde, 10, perfect. And we're on a first date. At least she was honest. She was like, I'm an expensive girl. And she looks right at me. I said, uh-huh. She goes, my last boyfriend had a 7-car garage. I said, cool. She goes, yeah. And, my boyfriend before that, I dumped him because for my birthday, he got me a massage thing at a spa day, and it was only $400. So that's not. So obviously I didn't see her again, but you get women like this. So it's a problem. All right, let's get to the topics. Hang on. As I said earlier, I chose these topics specifically because you guys have asked about these. So I have very specific opinions and logistical advice when you do these things. So first, to cover the overview, just in case you were not aware, I have 2 children. My children are grown. My son is in his early 30s. Yes, I'm that old. And my daughter is in her mid 20s. If you're confused, my son was technically adopted. So he's black. Adopted a black son. And Josh, he's amazing. Very proud of him. My daughter, Alyssa, is 25 years old. Josh lives full-time in Mexico. My daughter, unfortunately, still lives in the collapsing USA, but she's working on leaving. So I have 2 children. This is not for my current wife, Pink Firefly. We have no children together. Thank God. I don't want more kids. These are from my first wife way back when I was a young, stupid beta male in my 20s. My first monogamous wife way back then. So long story. So that's my context for having children. Let's see. So the topic is a few things. One is, hey, Caleb, here's the problem. Let me back up a minute. Because of people like Andrew Tate, and I'm going to say this again, I always have to qualify this. I agree with about 80% of what Andrew Tate says. It's only the 20% I disagree on. So I like most of what Andrew Tate says. The other 20% is extreme alpha male 1.0, high drama, high anger lifestyle, which I'm completely against. All right. So because of people like Andrew Tate, the popularity of people like this, I start getting questions about topics that he talks about. So one of the things Andrew Tate and his brother are really into is, I'm going to father a bunch of kids. I'm going to have a whole bunch of kids with like 6, 7 different women or whatever the number is. I don't know what the number is. If it's 4 women because he doesn't want to be haram because he's Muslim, fine, whatever. So I'm going to have children with multiple kids. Excuse me. I'm going to have children with multiple women all over the earth. And so just like, what's a parallel to this? What's another question I started getting when Andrew Tate got popular? I went, what the hell? There's a few others. They elude me at the moment. But anyway, because Andrew Tate, here it is. When Andrew Tate started getting popular, I got a whole bunch of emails saying, hey, Caleb, you know what I want to do for a business, for a niche? I want to start a webcam business and see if I get a bunch of girls and manage their webcam. Oh, why do you want to do that? Because Andrew Tate did that. Right. So now it's, hey, Caleb, I want to have a bunch of kids with women all over the planet. And I can do it in cheap countries. So it doesn't cost me a lot of money in child support. Yeah. Okay. So, fine. Let's discuss this. It is an issue between desire and logistics. So I know that we men, especially if you are of a higher testosterone level, which most men these days do not, but a lot of you do, I certainly do. It sounds exciting to impregnate a woman or to impregnate a lot of women. Well, why does it sound exciting for a lot of men? Because that's exactly what you're biologically wired to do in the Unchained Man, which I'm rerunning right now. I talk a lot about. You have hard biological wiring to want certain things. Men are wired to what? Spread their seed. So when someone says to you, go and pregnant a bunch of hot young girls, there's a part of your lizard brain, and it's me too, I'm in there too. There's a part of my lizard brain that goes, yeah. And the higher testosterone you have, the more that lizard brain goes, yeah. Now if you go, why would I want to do that? Well, your testosterone might be low, maybe. Or you might just be an appropriate guy. That's possible. But the higher testosterone you have, the more exciting that sounds. And I'm in that same boat. I've had some of you ask me the question, Caleb, when you have sex with women who are not Pink Firefly, or even before Pink Firefly, FBs or women you were dating or whatever, with or without a condom, doesn't matter. Did you have a desire to impregnate these women during sex? My testosterone is 1130-ish. The answer is a big yes. Of course I have that desire. Yes. Yes. Lizard brain again. Not my frontal cortex, which runs my life. My lizard brain. Okay? Someone is saying that my stream is having a problem. Can you guys hear me okay? I'll pause for a second. Can you put in the chat, you can see me and hear me, and it's not going up and down? That might just be on his end. I'll wait a second. I'll drink water. Why do I look better? Oh, I did tanning. That's why. Okay, Maurice, the problem is on your end. Other people can see and hear me just fine. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Great. So that is a desire, and just because it's a desire, should you do it? It's an old quote from Jurassic Park. Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing. So have I gone around and impregnated, 47 women? I have not. I've been very careful to not do that, even though a part of my lizard brain, way back in the back of my skull here, says, yeah. No, there's a lot of dumb things my lizard brain wants to do, including you. I don't want to do you. There's a lot of things that you want to do because of your lizard brain. And again, the higher the test. Yes, I will rewind the questions. The higher. Oh, Josh is on the call right now. Nomad Consultant. Perfect. Just talking about you, Josh. Awesome. The higher your testosterone is, the more likely you want to do crazy shit. Matter of fact, your risk factor goes up when you have higher testosterone. When you have higher testosterone, you're willing to do base jumping and jump off cliffs with wingsuits and have sex with a bunch of women without condoms, because that's a component of higher testosterone. So realize where the desire is coming from. It's not coming from anywhere logical, coming from your lizard brain. Okay. Could I do that? So let's move it out of my brain and put it in logistics. And there are some of you who could do this. There are some of you in my audience who have the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal, and or you travel a lot and are having sex with multiple women right now, and you could impregnate a bunch of girls, especially if they're outside the Western world, where you wouldn't necessarily have to pay child support, or you could choose how much child support you would pay versus the United States or Canada, where the government would put a gun to your head and force you to pay this. Okay? So could you do it? Could I do it? Yes. I could do it right now. There are several FBs in my life right this second who would, let's see, let me count them. There's one, two, at least two, three, maybe four. So at least two, maybe four FBs I have right now who would love it if I impregnated them. Could I financially do it? Yes, I make plenty of money. Yes. Some of these people are in places like Paraguay, where it'd be very, very cheap to do this. And that's an argument many of you guys make. Will you do it in these cheap, third world shithole countries, and you just send them $200 and it's plenty of money to raise a kid? I'll get to that in a second. So could I do this? Yes. Could many of you do this? Yes, you could. Still haven't done it. Let me address really quick another question I've gotten about this. Caleb, would you have more kids? If Pink Firefly wanted kids, would you have them? Or would you have kids with one of your FBs? Or if Pink Firefly died or you got divorced, would you have more kids? Here's my answer. I don't want to raise any more kids. I did it. I did with two of them, and they turned out pretty good. I'm good. So I'm good on this. I never say never because of increasing lifespan. I'm 51 years old. The odds are very good that with increasing lifespan technologies over the next several decades where I will be alive, I could easily live to, and you guys could easily live or more, to 150 years plus and be a functional person, not 50 years as an old man who can't walk, 150 years as an active person, or maybe 120 years as an active person. Then you have 20 years of being old. That's entirely possible. So if that's the case, hard for me to say, I will never do this, because if I found out tomorrow I'll live another 100 years, well, maybe I could have more kids. I don't know. Right now, I don't want any. I'm busy right now. I've got a lot of things on my plate. So that's my answer. But that's why I say, never say never. Hang on. So there's two aspects of this, and I have this on the topic of this. What's wrong with my throat? Hang on a second. There's two pieces. I'll discuss both. There is having multiple children with multiple women, A, then B, having a child or multiple children in distant countries where you don't live, you just visit. Those are two separate issues. They're related, but they are separate. So you could have one guy who does an Andrew Tate, says, I want to marry 4 women, and I'm going to put 3 babies in each of these 4 women and have a bazillion children, and they all live with me and they all live in my town or whatever. Or I'm going to go to fucking Venezuela, or I'm going to go to, Cambodia or Vietnam and impregnate a bunch of chicks, or impregnate 1 or 2 girls I like, and then I'll leave and I'll send her $200 a month. Two separate issues, but they are related. Okay. All right. Following my notes so I don't forget anything. Hang on. I have a lot of things to say about this. Number 1, let's talk about having multiple children from multiple women in your city. Let's discuss that first. Could you have multiple kids from multiple moms in the same city under an alpha male 2.0 model? Could you do this? Yes, you could. I would not do this, but you could, provided several things. Number one, top of the list, you could easily afford children. Most of you, unfortunately, are still living in the collapsing Western world. And in the collapsing Western world, it is so fucking expensive to have kids because people like you guys, not all of you, but most of you, have been voting for the lesser of two evils like Donald Trump and Joe Biden for the past 35 years. One of the side effects of doing that is you make it too expensive to have kids, and then people stop having kids, and now the birth rates suck in the United States, Canada, Europe, and soon white people will no longer be a thing. All your fault. Not that I give a shit. I don't care about white people or black people. I don't care. All right. So you need to be able, if you live in the Western world, to afford multiple kids. If you live in countries like the United States, Canada, Europe, UK, Australia, you will pay child support. And if you don't, you will go to prison. And there are men in prison right now who couldn't pay child support, and that's why they're there. So you better make goddamn sure you can afford those kids. I have several other videos and several blog posts where I talk about how you better make a lot of goddamn money if you want to have kids in the Western world. You better make a strong six-figure income or have a net worth of at least $1 million. I have said multiple times, and this is the truth, and no one wants to hear this, but I'm right. In the Western world today in 2024, having kids is something for very wealthy men. If you're poor or lower middle class or even middle class, and you're going to live in the Western world the rest of your life, which you shouldn't do, but okay, I know a lot of you will, you shouldn't have kids. You can't afford it. You have no idea how expensive children are. Children are ridiculous, and it doesn't just end when they move out or something, because you have college and all that shit. Okay, children are ridiculously expensive, more so now than ever before in all human history, because of you people voting for people like Trump and Biden, and you're not American equivalents. All right, so if you can easily afford it, that's checkbox number one. You make shitloads of money. You make a mid to high six-figure income, seven-figure income, eight-figure income, and or you're a multi-millionaire, you got plenty of assets, and you can afford all these goddamn kids. Great. That's checkbox number one. There's more. Number two. Which one do I cover first? There's two of them. I'll cover this one first. All of the women are aware of each other, they know each other, and they get along. The last thing you want to do is to have a kid with Susie and a kid with Jennifer and try to hide them from each other when they live in the same city. Guys do stupid shit like this all the time. Even guys who have a secret family, like in Vietnam, they live in the UK and the guy goes on business in Vietnam for a few months a year and he has a wife and two kids in both. Even those guys can't pull that shit off. The wife eventually finds out. So you need to make sure that all the women involved are aware of each other and at least get along. They have to love each other, they have to hang out and be best friends, but they're aware of each other. Otherwise, you're in for a nuclear fucking explosion when they find out about each other. I wouldn't want to be in that room. And again, I teach a low drama lifestyle. Cool, cool. Third thing is that you do not live with multiple women as wives. This is a very big topic. That's not to do with the topic today. I can discuss this on another thing. I've talked this by blogs. The model of multiple wives living in your house is not a low drama lifestyle. That is an extremely high drama lifestyle. Polygamy, not polyamory, polygamy is an extraordinarily high drama lifestyle, no matter how alpha you are. I know and have known and currently know, I live in Dubai with guys who have 4 wives, including Muslim guys, Mormon guys who have multiple wives. I've watched documentaries on this. The one common thread all these men have, drama all the fucking time. The wives are always bitching and moaning and screaming and arguing. Why'd you spend the night with her last night? That was my night. Nightmare from fucking hell. If you don't mind lots of drama for the rest of your life, there's a percentage of men who don't, then fine, as usual, ignore my advice, do whatever you want. If you want to live a happy life, you cannot live with multiple wives who have children. What you could do, and this is an advanced topic off the scope of this topic, is you could do like a OLTR, you live with your wife, and like a live-in FB who lives in another part of the house. You can do kind of, if you're at a very advanced level of relationship game, you can pull things like that off, but that's still not a wife. You don't have kids with that woman. And there's a very definite hierarchy. There's a wife and there's an FB, and they know the hierarchy. That stuff is doable under certain conditions. Multiple wives, no. So you cannot live with these women. Ideally, you shouldn't live with any. Well, I can live with my favorite one, and then that's going to cause more drama. Okay? Now, that brings up the next thing. Well, Caleb, what I'll do is I'll have kids with her, but I'm not going to date her. She can still have another boyfriend and get married. I don't care. We're friends and we'll co-parent, we'll be friends. Okay, that's a little easier. Fine. If you can afford it. And just because she marries another dude, it's not like alimony where they get married so they have to pay alimony anymore. You got to pay child support for the next 18 years. In some cases, 21 years. And if you're late on those payments, she makes one phone call and you go to jail. So you better trust this chick, or chicks, I should say. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Next thing you want to do, if you do this, you need to have this very, very structured, like any OLTR. These are not multiple OLTRs. You need to structure exactly when, how visitation will work in some jurisdictions of the Western world, including the United States. I talk about this on my blogs. You can file a parenting plan before she gets pregnant. Then when she gets pregnant, the baby comes out. There's no custody battle or anything if you break up, because it's all in the parenting plan. She already agreed to it. In some places it's enforceable, in some places it's not. Figure out your jurisdiction. Figure all that out. The finances need to be decided in advance. Before you get anyone pregnant, you sit down and explain to her how it's going to work financially. I'm going to pay you blank per month. And that's it, sweetheart. Or whatever. Or it'll go up by this, or, whatever. What I would do is put it in writing. Now, she's a woman. She's going to change her mind, of course, but at least you're covered. Because my repeating comment to all women I've been in long-term relationships with is, I don't change my mind. If you change your mind, that's on you. Because women are biologically wired to change their minds. But at least you covered your side of the table. Okay, you don't just do what most guys do and say, oops, and they have a baby, and then oops, they have a baby with someone else. No, this is all strategically planned in advance. That's kind of the bottom line for this stuff. This is strategically planned well in advance before anyone gets pregnant. Very detailed conversations and paperwork that is signed. Even if it's not enforceable, at least she knows what the deal is. I will pay you $1,000 a month. Sign there. It's not enforceable, especially if it's in the Western world. Now, if it's outside the Western world, then you can negotiate. We'll cover that in a second. Okay. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about that? It's finance and defined. Okay. It is accurate that if you have children, some of you are already bringing this up in the chat, and I'll rewind the chat in a minute. It is accurate that if you father children outside of the Western world, child support is whatever you want. Caleb, that's not true. In Colombia, they have a law. They don't enforce those laws in Southeast Asia to a degree, and certainly South America. There might be laws on the books about these things, but again, this is not the United States that has trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of your taxpayer dollars to do whatever the fuck they want with. These are little countries that can afford shit, so they don't enforce this stuff. So even if it's on the books, this is not enforceable, especially if you're not a citizen of that country, you don't have a passport in that country, you don't live in that country. I worked with a guy years ago in my consulting practice, this crazy old bastard, and what he would do is, he was a single guy. He was a CFO for a small company in Portland, Oregon, and he would take these big, long vacations for like 3 weeks at a time, and he would go to Vietnam. That was his favorite country, but it's Southeast Asia. And he would bang all these chicks, mostly prostitutes, but he would also get a, quote, girlfriend. He would always marry her and get her pregnant, then immediately divorce her, and they would go back and do it again with the next girl. And so he had been married something like 8 times. I'm not kidding. And he had, God knows how many kids he had. And he's like, well, what can they do? It's Vietnam. Ha, I'm an American. I don't even live there. Ha. That was his attitude about it. Not a good attitude, in my opinion. I'll cover the ethics about this in a minute. But it is true that if you do this outside the Western world, it's going to be a lot less expensive, and you can determine how much money that is. True. That is correct. The issue is ethics and your view on children. So let me shift into that. Because a lot of you will say, well, you just have, chicks pregnant in the emerging market in the third world. It's cheap. And $200 a lot of money. And then, and so here's the argument. The argument is this. Hey, you just impregnate this girl in some distant shithole country. You send her $200-300 a month on Western Union once a month, fine. And then you go see her, twice a year, it's fine. It's fine, Caleb, it's fine. So is it fine? Well, that's mostly a matter of opinion. And I'm about to give you my opinion. This is my opinion. This is not Alpha Male 2.0. This is just Caleb's personal opinion. You're welcome to disagree because it's an opinion. If I say long-term monogamy doesn't work and you say, you're stupid because that's not an opinion, that's a fact. But if I say, I like black shirts instead of white shirts, that's an opinion and you can argue with that. You can argue with opinions, you can't argue with facts. So I'm about to give you an opinion that you could argue with. This is my view. And this is my view as a father of 2 children. And frankly, the only reason I've mentioned this before, in my first marriage way back when I was 24 years old, stupid, the only reason I married my first wife, the biggest reason that I bothered to move in there and get married, other than just having sex with her because she had a nice ass, is because I wanted kids. And I was stupid and brainwashed by societal programming. I didn't know any other way to do it. Today, I know all kinds of different ways. So I would have done it differently. That's why. So that was a big deal to me, having kids. Okay. Now, ethically, is it a good idea to go start creating kids around the world who don't have a dad? In my opinion, no, that's horrible. Now, I give to charity every month. I don't talk a lot about this because I don't think you should talk about giving to charity publicly. I give to charity every month. The charity I've chosen, I've mentioned this, I think, once in my life, twice in my life, is Big Brothers Big Sisters. What is that? It's to help boys, mostly boys, some girls, without fathers. Lack of fathers is one of the biggest reasons the Western world is collapsing right before your very eyes. And it's interesting that a lot of you right-wingers know this, yet some of you same guys want to go father kids all over the world and not be their dad. So you want to make the world a worse place? By what you know, by definition, will make it a worse place? Fatherlessness is an epidemic, and it's a serious problem. And so by having children on purpose without the dad being there, in my view, is not a good idea ethically. That's my opinion. You could disagree with that. Now, some guys say, well, that's what men used to do. Okay, men used to do a lot of things. Men used to own slaves. That means it's a good idea? No. So it doesn't matter what men used to do. The next argument people say is, well, but I see them sometimes. I'll go see them sometimes. You cannot be a dad, a good dad, if you see your kids 6 weeks a year. I'm sorry, you can't. It's the exact same way for women. All these women about 10 years ago, or even a little longer, when single motherhood really came on as a thing in society, and these women say, I can be a good mother just because I don't have a father. Incorrect. You can't mother those children correctly if there's no father there. You can't. And my metaphor back then was, you could be the perfect mom. You're still raising broken kids if there's no dad around. You could be the perfect dad. Perfect dad. And if you have no mother around, especially if it's a little girl, you're going to raise a broken girl. Sorry. You could be the greatest car in the world. You could be the best Ferrari ever made. Does that mean you're going to go tow a trailer with your Ferrari? No, it wasn't designed to do that. Same thing. Again, this is my opinion. This is one of those areas in which I am somewhat a little right-wingish, and I agree with the tradcons on this. Mom and a dad raising kids is the best way to do this. Why do I believe this? Because of data and science. Everything I believe is with data and science, not my opinion. So, if you want to go create a bunch of kids all over the world, and you see them 6 months a year, I think that's shitty. That's my opinion. Now, if you get her pregnant and she lives in, Vietnam, and you live in Germany, and then you fly her out to Germany to live in your city, and now you can see your kid all the time, well, different story. Or if you then move to Vietnam, or set Vietnam as one of your living flags, right? Okay. And you're there for, 6 months a year, that's better. That's a lot better than 6 weeks a year. So there are things you can do. Believe me, I've thought about this stuff. Because I have sex with women all over earth. I've thought about all these things. About what if she gets pregnant, and if I wasn't married, or before I got married, how would I manage kids in different countries? I've thought through all this stuff. It's not like, this stuff just came up because Andrew Tate said it. What else? Oh, here's the other thing. This is something that guys don't realize. And maybe this won't bother you, but it'll bother most guys, especially if you're an Andrew Tate worshiper. If you get some chick pregnant in Bolivia, okay, and then you go back home to the Western world, to wherever you live, you go back to Bali, or, back to the UK, or back to the United States, or wherever you live, right? Is she just going to sit around for the next 10 years thinking about you, hoping you fly back? No. You know what she's going to do? She's going to get a boyfriend. And then your baby mama with your son or your daughter is going to go get a boyfriend, and some other guy in Bolivia is going to raise your child. And you're going to go fucking ape shit. You're going to lose your shit. What the fuck? Yeah, that's what happens, dumbass. That's another consequence of doing this. Some other guy's going to raise your kid. Now, if you don't care, there's a few guys that don't care. Great, do whatever you want. If that would bother you, and if you're a big alpha male 1.0 or wannabe alpha male 1.0 entertainment type guy, that would drive you insane. To have another guy, oh my God. And then you go visit the kid and he's doing all this shit you don't like because this other guy's been raising your kid. Oh, that's a world of hell I want to be part of. So you have that too. You don't think through that, do you? Again, women do not exist in an alpha male 1.0 fantasy world where if you're alpha and you're a hardcore Christian and you tell her how it is, she says, yes, master, and always does what you say for the rest of your life, especially you don't fucking live there. That's how women work. She's going to find someone else. Here's the other thing. You're going to start sending her money and you're going to say, so did you fuck another guy? She'll say, oh, no. While she's, spending your money, cuck. It's going to happen. Now, again, if you don't care, fine. Some men aren't going to care. That's fine. A lot of you are going to care. You got to think through all these scenarios. It's not as simple as I'll just get her pregnant and send her $200 a month. It's way more complex than that. On top of the ethical issues of you're going to have a bunch of you're going to make a little boy or a little girl who doesn't have a dad. Especially, you're going to get some chick pregnant in rural Bolivia, and then she's going to get her boyfriend. How effective of a father is she going to get in rural Bolivia who's going to father your kid? Is that going to be a good dad, statistically speaking? Is that going to be, maybe not. So that's another ethical issue you have to wrestle with. See, again, desire versus logistics. The fantasy in your head is a lot different than how it will work in real life. This is why I haven't done this when I could. I could have, right now, I'm giving you literal numbers. I could have I went through this. I went through my spreadsheets the other day. I could have over 25 children right now. I could. And if I had done things differently over the past 17 years in this Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle, I could have. Didn't. Be careful. I don't want more kids. There's a reason I didn't do these things because I thought through all these logistics. When you get excited about something you hear on the internet, you need to think through the real life ramifications and logistics. You need to think objectively and rationally, as I've been screaming since 2009 for you guys. Happiness is the result of a rational, objective lifestyle. Unhappiness is the result of being irrational and excited on the positive side, too excited, or angry all the fucking time on the negative. Donald Trump becomes elected. You're excited because you think he's going to build a wall because you're irrational. Then he, quote, loses, quote unquote. Joe Biden wins and you're furious because you're irrational, even though it doesn't matter if Biden or Trump is president. You're irrational all the time. Same thing with this relationship stuff. You don't treat women or you don't do things in your woman life just because your lizard brain said, oh, that'd be awesome. The same reason you don't go around having sex with 300 girls without ever wearing a condom. Might sound pretty good. Your dick will be very happy for a while. And then you have a problem, either pregnancy or STD test. And I said this before. Pregnancy in the Western world is worse than STDs. Most STDs, you get a shot in the ass and take a pill, you're good. There's no symptoms. Pregnancy, if she's in the United States or Canada, UK, Australia, she owns your wallet for 18 years. Good job, dumbass. She owns your wallet for 18 years. And I've known guys like in their 40s, late 30s, who had decent futures, and they bang some random 19-year-old chick and get her pregnant. She has the baby. You're fucked. You're fucked. And it's in the Western world where she makes the phone call to the state and says, I want my child support. Let's see. I'll give you one happy story. This is somewhat related. This is a true story, and I'll answer your questions. And I will rewind your question. True story. This is told by a judge who's involved in this case. This is one of my favorite stories. Don't do it. I'm going to give you an example of something a man did because he was stupid. Don't do what this guy did. This is just a fun story. This is one of the exceptions to the rules where a guy got dinged for child support and got out of it because he was lucky. Okay. True story. Here's the story. Okay. This actually happened. I don't know what state this girl is. United States. And this young guy was dating this girl. mid-20s, something like that. They broke up. One day he's sitting in his apartment in front of his little fireplace, smoking a joint. He likes to smoke a lot of weed. And he gets this thing in the mail. He's going through his mail, and he gets this thing from the state saying, you owe child support because Susie had your baby. That was a girl he just dated. And he's like, what the fuck? She had a baby? Wait a minute. So he looks to see how old the baby is and when the baby was born. And he goes, and he backtraces it in his head 9 months. He goes, wait a minute. The baby was born 9 months ago. That was September. We broke up in June. We haven't had sex since June. This is not my kid. Stupid. So he takes the document and does something very stupid. He throws it in the fireplace and just forgets about it. Bad idea. If you live in the United States or Canada, not good. So here's what happens. And I've known guys where this happened. I personally know men who are paying child support for kids that aren't theirs because the United States or Canada, and to a degree UK, Australia, they don't care. Anyway, that's why I say as soon as the baby is born, you get that thing paternity test or before the birth. It's called an NAPP. Paternity test your kids. Anyway. So 5 years go by. It's a true story. 5 years go by, and he gets this thing in the mail saying, you now owe some huge amount of fucking back child support. You owe $85,000 in back child support the past 5 years, whatever number was. And if you don't pay it in 30 days, you're going to jail. We're going to issue a warrant for your arrest. This is what happens. He was lucky he waited 5 years. Sometimes it's a year. Depends on the state. So he's like, what the fuck? So he calls up his ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago. And he says, hey, the fuck is this? She's like, yeah, you owe child support. Pay up, asshole. He's like, you know that kid's not mine. He was born in September. We broke up in June. You know he's not mine. She's like, so fuck you. You pay or you go to jail, asshole. Now, the reason she picked him is he made more money than the dumb shit. She got impregnated by some dumbass who was homeless or worked at a pizza restaurant or something. And he actually had a real job. He wasn't making a lot of money, making more money than the dumbass who impregnated her. So she did what a lot of Western women do. Okay, which guy makes the most money? Oh, he's the father, not the guy who's actually the father. He's like, oh, can you just tell him it's not mine? She's like, no, fuck you, asshole. You pay or you go to jail. He's like, fuck. So he hangs up the phone. He's like, oh my God, what do I do? So he calls up his attorney. He verifies this through the state. He's like, this kid isn't mine. I can prove it's not mine. What does the state say? We don't care. You pay or you go to jail. He's like, it's not mine. I can get a paternity test proving it's not mine. What did the state say? We don't care. You pay or you go to jail. Isn't that nice? What a great country the United States is. I wonder why I left. So anyway, he goes to his attorney. He gets an attorney, gets a family law attorney. And he says, man, is this real? Am I fucked here? The guy's like, yeah, you got to pay it. He's like, but it's not mine. Attorney says, government doesn't care. So he kind of racks his brain. He thinks about it and he comes up with a plan. And he comes up with a plan and he asks the attorney a bunch of questions. Well, what if this? Well, then what if that? Well, then what if this? And the attorney answers his question. He makes some notes. He's a pretty smart guy. So he comes up with a plan. So here's this guy does. This is all true. This is hilarious. This is where it gets good. Goes home, thinks about it, comes up with a plan, calls her up. He says, okay, you fucking bitch. Fine, I'll start paying child support. No problem. I'll work on a payment plan with the state. I can't pay $85,000 at once, but they'll work a payment plan. I'll start making payments to you, and that's fine. She goes, good, asshole, good. He's like, oh, just one thing. When I agree to start making child support payments, I am his legal father, which means I get all parental rights in this state, in the state of whatever state it was. That means I get visitation 3 days a week, even if you don't want it. It's required by law. You don't believe me? Check your attorney. So as soon as I start making these payments, you're bringing that kid, over to my house. And guess what, bitch? When that kid's over at my house, I'm going to swear and talk about pussy and tits around him. I'm going to smoke cigarettes, blow the smoke in his face. I'm going to feed him nothing but candy. Candy and McDonald's. That's all he gets is candy and McDonald's. I'm going to feed him Rolos and gummy bears. I'm going to get him so fucking hopped up on candy. When you get him after the 3 days I have him, he'll be so hyper, he won't go to bed. He'll make your life a living hell, and he'll get fat, and he'll start swearing. It'll be fucking great. She goes, you can't fucking do that. He goes, yes, I can. If you don't believe me, check with the state, check with your attorney. I get him 3 days a week. She goes, you can't. Goes, oh, bitch, I'm not done. I'm his legal father, so guess what I can do? I can go to his school. And I'm going to go to his school. I'm going to say, I am Joey's father. And I'm going to raise holy fucking hell with all of his teachers, the principal. I'm going to tell everyone at that school what a fucking lying cunt his mother is. I'm going to scream and yell about his homework. I'm going to cause a fucking scene. You're going to be so fucking embarrassed to pick him up. All the kids are going to think he's a loser. I'm going to go fucking crazy with that school shit. She's like, you can't. Oh, and he goes on and on of all this horrible shit he's going to do because you can't stop me because I will be his legal father. So that's what's going to happen, you bitch, if you want me to start paying you this money. Or you can sign this little document saying that I'm not the father. I don't have to pay your child support. Up to you. Click. Hangs up on her. The next day, she calls back and says, okay, you're not the father. She signs it. He got out of it. Very rare you have a success story like this. Bottom line is, if a woman accuses you of being a child, you live in the Western world, deal with it right then and there. And you paternity test every baby that any woman says is yours. And you can do it, like I said, before the baby's even born. It's called NAPP. You get you guys live in the United States, you get a paternity test for $20 at Walgreens. Get that done before you agree. Even if you're married and you love her and said, oh, she would never do that. Well, kid, did you paternity test your daughter? Yes, I fucking did. Oh, what am I, stupid? Yes, I didn't think my wife cheated. Ex-wife cheated. I don't think, but it doesn't matter. Okay? Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go back up. I'm going to rewind the questions here. Hang on. I will, let's do some Q&A on this topic. Let's try to stick on this topic and I can answer other stuff later. We're doing on time. Oh, we're doing pretty good. All right. I can hang off a little bit. Look at all the questions. My goodness gracious. Any thoughts into entering into a parenting agreement with someone who is not an OLTR screening legal agreement, or is that just best avoided? I wouldn't do that, but if you really want to have a kid and she lives in, like I talked about earlier, if she lives in your city and you trust her and you know she's going to get a husband or boyfriend who's not you, who'll be involved in raising that kid, if you're good with all those ifs, then go ahead. Otherwise, don't do it. Living separately from the OLTR wife and kids close by, keep my home sterile and no kid logistics. Have a big staff to help her raise the kids. Maybe it can help a non-mono lifestyle. I have already talked about this in my books. It's called the dual live-in. Yes, you can have an OLTR, including OLTR wife, including with kids, and live in two separate homes. And maybe you're there for 3 days a week and she's there for 4 days a week, whatever. Yes. Big fan of that. Do it. That's fine. Costs more money. But again, like I said, if you're going to have kids in the Western world, you better make a lot of money or else leave the Western world. What is it like dating a woman who is a semi-public figure as an FB or MLTR compared to a woman who is not a public figure? Well, I have never dated a public figure. I have had many FBs who are public figures, including today. What is it like? Well, I'm not part. Well, again, I only have FBs who are public figures. I'm not part of that part of their life. And I'm a secret. So I don't talk about my FBs. I kind of keep that quiet publicly. I'm a secret to 99% of them. They don't want to, people to know. There's 1 or 2 exceptions, but so I wouldn't know. Getting an OLTR wife. Okay, I already said that. Let's see here. We need high testosterone television like we used to have. Fuck, dude, I've been saying that for 15 years. I know. Like Charles Bronson, all the day. Oh, man, I know. Those are the days. That's, even fucking Knight Rider, as corny as it was a guy show. You're not allowed to have guy shows anymore. The last one was 2.5 Men. How long was that? Shit. You once did a free webinar on how to write a book. Can you please help us with a link? Free webinar? Was it one of these on YouTube? Just go through Sovereign CEO. Just go through the YouTube videos. They're all there. If you got set up by a girl that you had intercourse with and you got put on child support since she got pregnant, is Panama or Venezuela to be a country to get residency in? You are still legally liable to pay that child support even if you leave the United States. If you don't want to pay it, then you don't have to, but then you risk never being able to come back to the U.S. or being arrested as soon as you land. This is true with any governmental thing in the United States. If you're required by law to pay something, not a debt to someone, not a credit card, but required by law. So child support is a state/federal thing. If you leave it, say, fuck this, I'm not paying it, and you are the father, it doesn't matter if you are the father. If you're required to pay the child support and you leave and say, I'm not going to pay it now, haha, well, then you risk never being able to go back to the United States ever again. So if that's the risk you want to take, do whatever you want. That way you don't become a felon in states for missed child support payments. Yes, you will. If you don't pay, you don't pay it. What's the minimum amount of time needed per week on the father side for kids to grow up healthy? I have a very busy life. Many hours. There's no set number of hours per week. And the reason for that is different kids are different. Some kids need to spend a lot of time with their parents. Some kids need less time. So I needed less time with my parents when I was a little kid than my brothers. They needed a lot more time with mommy and daddy. I needed less. I need some. So you can't just say, 12 hours a week. Every kid's different. Depends on their personality, how extroverted they are, right? So it depends. Frequent throughout the week. So what I did after my divorce was weekends. I've talked about this many times. Out of my divorce, Alpha 2.0, when my kids were little, weekends was kid time. So I saw my daughter every weekend, my son when he wanted to. He was in high school by then. So that was kid time. I didn't see any women on the weekends. Monday through Friday was woman time and work time. And so I didn't see my kids Monday through Friday, even though they wanted to. Daddy's got to go be a man. But on the weekends, that was for my kids. And when I say weekends, it was often like Friday. So my daughter would be there Friday to Sunday, every weekend. Later, my daughter lived with me because teenage girls hate their mothers. It's a rule. So my daughter lived with me when she was 16 to 18. Yeah, so my son was already out of the house by then because he's 6 years older. So suggest a low tax jurisdiction to set up an LTD liability company that'll then sell my brands in order to earn royalty in the offshore jurisdiction. Dubai is my favorite. Dubai, Hong Kong, Estonia. There's 3. Idea, having 2 homes a few miles apart. You keep asking the same question over and over again. I got it. Women know where babies come from. If they have a child support without an enforceable child support order, then that's on them. If they have a child without an enforceable child support order, then that's on them. Well, if you give a shit about that kid, if you know that kid is yours and you're not going to financially support the kid ever, that's also on you. Now, if the mother is a total psycho bitch from hell, that's different, of course. But if she's normal and you say, fuck you, bitch, your problem, to me, that is not ethical, in my view, because you helped make that kid. It was a 50-50 thing. In California, the state will work with foreign women to nail men for child support. That is correct. That's not just California. That's a lot of states. They will even provide translators and pages in foreign language for women. That is correct. Correctamundo. You must paternity test every baby. Period. End of story. What about lesbian couples raising kids? I think that's okay. There's some data on this. This is my somewhat layman's opinion because I'm not an expert on lesbians raising kids. I do know a lot of lesbians because I'm from Portland, Oregon. That was a big thing there. And I had bisexual women I dated, and matter of fact, it was a woman I dated who went lesbian after me. I was so horrible. No, just kidding. But she did. She went lesbian after me. I was the last man she ever had sex with. If the lesbian couple is a low drama, good couple, and this is usually the case of lesbian couples, there is a definite man and definite woman. So I've talked about this before. I've mentioned this. In gay couples, 2 men or 2 women, it is easier. There's still a man and a woman. There's a masculine and a feminine, right? And in gay couples, you can tell more quickly who the masculine one is and who's the feminine one is than modern day heterosexual couples. Because in modern day heterosexual couples, the man's wearing jeans, the girl's wearing jeans. The man's wearing a t-shirt, the girl's wearing a t-shirt. And you got to talk to them like 10 minutes, kind of figure out who the boy is. The boy could be the girl. Often it is the girl. Whereas if it's 2 gay guys, right, you know as soon as they walk in the door. One guy's like, hey, hi. Another guy's just normal guy. Okay, he's the girl and he's the boy. And so lesbians too. I've spent a decent amount of time hanging out at lesbian bars with some of my MLTRs today. You have these lesbians who are cute and pretty and have long hair and they look like normal girls. Then you got lesbians, the butch lesbians who wear black leather jackets and they have short hair like I do. They have buzz cuts. They don't have any makeup or any of that shit. Like, hey, they're biologically women, but they're dudes, right? So if you have a dude, 2 women, and one's kind of the dude, And one's the mom, one's the dad, it could work, sure. And there's data supporting this. Yeah. I want to have kids in Mexico and Brazil for a citizenship. That is correct. In Mexico, is it Brazil too? So that's a loophole. If you have a kid in Mexico, they will give you a passport more quickly. Food for thought. And Brazil for citizenship, would you say it's unethical if I impregnate women in these countries only for citizenship? In my opinion, yes. If you're not going to be involved, raise that kid. Yeah. The only way around that would be you impregnate her and she's already with a guy who's a good guy and the guy raises the kid. That's the gray area, right? Western women can get abortion in the Western world. That is correct. But in the Western world, they decide if you pay child support or not. This is not about fairness. Fairness left the Western world many decades ago. Goodbye, fairness. Goodbye. So she can say, I'm not getting an abortion. Fuck you, you're paying in the Western world. And you better pay or you're going to jail. Unless you can prove quickly with the paternity test that's not yours. So you'd say, hey, so if a woman ever says, I've written articles about this, videos. If a woman in the Western world, United States, Canada in particular, says, I'm pregnant this year, you're going to pay child support. Great, let's go and get a paternity test right now. Otherwise, I'm not paying you shit. Now, women don't know that's true, or you can say, what you can do, I've had guys do this. You have an attorney contact the woman, say, Joe is not paying any child support or being a part of that child's life at all until we see a paternity test. When you're ready to get a paternity test, let me know. We'll send a third party over and take a blood sample or whatever the fuck they need. And women will do it. And if you can prove before the baby is born it's not yours, you're okay. If you wait 2 or 3 years down the road, like you're fucked. You're going to be paying child support for babies that aren't yours, and many men do. So rationally, one will typically create and raise the family outside the collapsing West to avoid 18 years of financial prison, loss of freedom. If I was not married today and I had no kids today and I wanted kids, I would not have children in the Western world for about 7 or 8 different reasons. Not even these reasons, a lot of other reasons. Not a good place to raise a kid. United States, and most part of the United States, is not a good place to raise a kid. I wouldn't raise a kid in the United States. Are you kidding? Are you insane? No. I know some people here in Dubai who, the woman is American, the man is Pakistani. They've been married for years. They have 2 little kids. They raise the kids here in Dubai where there's zero crime. He got some kind of job thing and they had to move to the United States. This was a heartbreaking conversation. So they had to move to the United States. She's American. She didn't want to go to the United States. She had to sit down. These 2 people had to sit down with their little kid, their little boys, and explain to them about school shootings. Because they got some letters from their school they're going to go to about school shootings. Imagine explaining to your kids, hey, okay, so there are people in the United States who come in with guns. They shoot little kids like you. You want to raise a kid in that country? So anyway, what I was saying was I would raise kids, have kids in the non-Western world in a fucking heartbeat. That wouldn't even be a decision to be like, yes, I'm not raising kids in America or Canada or the collapsing Europe. Are you fucking, no, I'm not doing that. No. Caleb, you say voting is pointless because it won't make a difference due to the small impact of each vote. That is correct. How is creating 25 those children out of wedlock in a world of 7.8 billion people? It's not relevant to the 7.8 billion people. It's relevant to the kids. Not 25 kids, 1. I'm talking about the kid. No, I'm not. The argument I was using was the argument that you guys, I don't know if you are one of them, you right-wing traditional people use. You're using that argument. That's not my argument. I don't care if you make 25 kids. Doesn't matter at all. I'm talking about men who say, children need fathers, God damn it. Rah, 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 and you're going to go make a 25 kids don't have fathers. It's just like these red pill guys who say, only date a woman, only have sex with a woman who's had sex with 2 or 3 men. And then you go fuck hundreds of girls and you add to the body count of all these girls. By your own logic, that doesn't work. No, I don't care. Don't date Billie Jean. Billie Jean's not my lover. She's just a girl. Off topic, Caleb, you might want to check out the band Wasp. I know the Wasp. I know Wasp. Pure Alpha Jupiter lyrics. I know. If it's a metal band from the 80s, I already know. I'm well aware of that. He actually ran for Congress. His name is Blackie Lawless. I know all about Wasp. Yeah. Legendary story. Yep. True story too. It's told by the judge who was involved in the case. How much does a country's societal conditioning play in comparing the three types of women to each other? For example, would be comparing a first world submissive versus no, that's that. There's no such thing as a submissive country or an independent country. No, no. And you'll have independents, submissives, and dominants in every country. In Paraguay, there are women who are dominants, independents, and submissives. Just the percentages are different. Less dominance in lower end countries for obvious reasons. If you give the baby mama enough money to spend 4 to 6 months with them, would that be enough to keep other guys out of the picture? No, because what is a young girl who's 26 years old going to do when you hand her 6 months of money? She'll have it spent in 30 days. Then she'll be asking you for more money. Try it if you don't believe me. A lot of dumbasses have done this. Well, I don't want to pay her every month, so I'll just send her 6 months. And great. They do that. Then the girl's like, 30 days later, she's sending text, I need more money. I just gave you $10,000, God damn it. Yeah, I know I bought this and bought that and bought this. And don't put loaded weapons in women's hands. That's stupid. Caleb Jones, I'm attracted to women with tattoos as they can be fun, and I need a woman to show around as I'm a boring person. Okay, great. That sounds wonderful. From your experience, from what country and or parts of the world are the independent type of women from? Independent women are the smallest percentage of women in every country. There is no country full of independent women that doesn't exist. Have you ever gotten set up in the case that someone has passed a woman and then try to rob you? That has never, I have said this many times, I've never had a problem with crime anywhere in the entire world because I don't do stupid shit. Guys who run into crime problems and robberies and shit are guys who don't study the country before they go and do stupid shit. Like they get a hooker who spends the night with them in their apartment or their Airbnb. You're an idiot if you do. You're so stupid. Yes, guys are just fucking stupid. That's something Red Pill won't tell you. Men are fucking stupid because they are. Men are dumb. Women are insane. Both are true. And I say both. I don't say women are the fucking problem and men are perfect. No. 50% of modern day Western men still get fucking married in traditional monogamous legal marriages. Stupid. Have you ever gambled and or made a serious bet, $100,000 wager? Yes. You should go to the old Caleb Jones blog and look up my entire series on blackjack. I've made literally thousands of dollars profit playing blackjack. Yes. I considered it, at one point, doing that professionally. What do you think about Singapore? I think Singapore is fucking great, except the weather is horrible year round. Other than that, Singapore is fantastic. Is telling your wife to have a tramp stamp tattoo of your name that can be anti-cheating defense? Are you being serious, King Cobra? Are you trolling? Can't tell. What if you impregnate some Mexicans and pay them well? Unethical is what I said. If you're going to impregnate any kids you don't impregnate kids. If you're going to impregnate any women for any reason in another country, and you're not going to spend a significant amount of the year helping to raise those kids, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that is unethical. Yes, I would never do such a thing unless it was a pure accident on my part, and I don't do it. I don't do those. There's a 2% rule, of course, but I'm very careful. So I would never do that. What countries do you consider raising kids other than Dubai? That depends on your value system. So there are some Eastern European countries that would be good. That'd be all right. Some guys say Russia is a good place to raise kids. That's probably true if you're in a safer region or neighborhood. Parts of Asia would be good. Singapore would be great. Jim Rogers moved to Singapore specifically to raise kids. Great. There's a number of countries. Parts of Southeast Asia, parts of South America that are safe. Panama. Yeah, Panama. Yeah. You said it's going to be a big problem if your wife found out that you have another child from another wife. Correct. Then what should we do instead? What I told you. Asking permission directly before you impregnate another woman? No, the alpha male 2.0 does not ask for permission for anything. Hang on. If you want to impregnate multiple women, you get them both in a room together and you explain it to them and you talk about it. If they say, fuck that, then you go pick 2 other women. You try it again. If they say, I'm not, then you kick them out. You bring in 2 more women. And eventually you'll find, not even eventually, it'll happen. If you're an alpha male 2.0, and you follow all my relationship models, you'll find 2 women who agree, especially if they're younger, especially if you're younger and or you have more money and you're doing everything right. That's what you do. You don't ask permission to do anything from anyone when you're an alpha male 2.0. You do whatever you want. But if you do things on purpose that will create drama in your life, you're violating the whole point of being an alpha male 2.0. Does a vasectomy even protect you in the Western world? Yes, of course it does. Unless she lies. But if she lies, you get the paternity test done quickly. It's fine. Can the U.S. extradite you for missed paid child support payments from Panama or other South American countries like Venezuela? No, they will not extradite you. I'm not an expert on this, so I don't know for sure. Reasonably sure they want to extradite you. You will just never be able to go back to the United States ever again. And you might have trouble opening a bank. Eventually, if you're a criminal, you won't be able to open up checking accounts in the United States, bank accounts, all that shit. I mean, there are people who've done this. There are criminals who commit crimes or do whatever. It is a crime to not pay child support if you're required by law to do it. It's an unfair crime. It shouldn't be a crime, but it is. There are men who've committed crimes in the United States and then left, and they got away with it, but they can never go back to the United States ever again. So you don't care. Sure. Do you think living in a wealthy part of India and raising kids is better than doing so in the United States? India's pretty fucked up. You said wealthy part of India? Probably. That's a complicated question. I'm not sure. Wealthy part of India. Wealthy. Not upper middle class. Wealthy. Yeah, probably. But India is really fucked up. And if you live in India, you know. Follow-up question. Would employing a staff to look after the kids to help the 90% logistics rule help appease unfairness? You got to ask the woman. Every woman's going to be different about this. You got to ask her. OLTR Canada is full-time veterinarian. You need to talk to her, not talk to me. It's her definition of fairness, not my definition of fairness. And women do not have a masculine view of fairness, as I've talked about many times. The standard model of standard marriages is the money you make, your wife says it's ours. The money she makes is, quote, hers. Right? Right. Women's concept of fairness is not like man's concept. Totally different concepts. So don't assume she's going to think like a man. She probably won't. The more feminine she is, the less she will. I am married to a woman who is extreme hyper feminine. So there you go. You recommend the earliest age to marry as 35 years old and to have kids around age 40. Yeah, I didn't mention that. Let's cover my baselines. Yes. No alpha male 2.0. This is a hard and fast rule. These are all hard and fast rules. This is not Caleb's opinion. This is alpha male 2.0. It's all my books and all my stuff. No girlfriend until you are at least 30. No OLTR until you're at least 30. The dumbest men in their 20s on earth are guys with girlfriends. No. You have better things to be doing in your 20s, building your empire, figuring yourself out before you get a goddamn girlfriend. No girlfriends until you're 30. No children. Excuse me, I want to back up. No moving in with a girlfriend. That means OLTR wife or getting married until you are at least 35. That's a minimum. 40s is better. Minimum 35. If you are under the age of 35 and you're living with a woman in a romantic context, you are fucking up your life. Terrible idea. You don't know how to manage that when you're that young. Most men over 35 don't know how to manage that. You sure as fuck don't. When you're a young guy, no. No children until you have, and I didn't say 40, it's around 40. The children one is not attached to age. No children until you have accomplished most of your major goals and dreams in life. For most men, that is 40s. Yes. And I added to that, if you're going to live in the Western world the rest of your life and you want to have kids, 6-figure or 7-figure income and or 7-figure net worth, or else don't fucking do it. Or go to some cheaper country and do it there. So those are the models. And a lot of you won't like that, but I'm right. I meant spend 4 to 6 months with them and the kids and give them more than enough money to live on. I said 6 months is workable. 6 months a year, I think, is workable. Problematic, but workable. 4 months, no. You're going to be there 4 months out of a 12-month year for your kids and raise your kids and be a good dad in 4 months. No. 6, maybe. That's really pushing it. We're talking 7 or 8. To be a good dad, 7 or 8, in my opinion. But I'm a father and most of you aren't. And my kids turn out pretty well, so I have a track record here. 7 to 8 months a year minimum to be a good dad. 6 is like bare minimum, I think. Under 6, no. Nope. More general question to the topic. Should you ever apologize to someone for anything, or is it a sign of weakness in every case? You should always apologize if it is definitely something you did wrong. You always apologize if it's definitely something you did and what you did was wrong. Now, if it's not something you did, you don't apologize. I didn't do that. If it's something you did, but it's not wrong, then it depends on the scenario. I always, if someone comes to me because I legitimately did something wrong and I really did do it, of course I apologize. The first thing I do. I don't say, I don't apologize. Men don't apologize. No, of course you apologize. If it's something you actually did and it actually is wrong. A lot of times people get mad at you for things that they don't like, but things you did that aren't wrong. I'm not apologizing for that. No. If you don't like that, then don't be with me. Go date someone else or go work with someone else. But I do shit wrong all the time. You probably do too. You apologize. Yeah. Yeah, you bet. It's a sign of immaturity if you don't ever apologize. It's a sign of an ego problem if you don't ever apologize. Well, I never did anything wrong. No. What do you think of Guadalajara and Bogota as potential places to raise kids? Guadalajara, yes, in certain parts of Guadalajara, not the whole city. Certain parts would be okay. Bogota, I can't speak to Bogota. I've never been there. Never been to Bogota, so I can't speak to that. I think you mentioned that you would start doing YouTube collabs recently with other creators. Kinda. Would love to watch. Where can I find them? No, I haven't started doing that. And I have no specific plans to do that. Too busy. If you have to pay child support in LATAM, would it be based on universal income or would it be based on a set amount in local currency? You can't say what is LATAM's policy on child support. There's about 15 countries. It depends the country. Look up the country. But they don't enforce these things. Child support and alimony are not concepts in the Latin world, in most of the Latin world. They're just not. Maybe in Panama, maybe in some of the bigger Brazilian cities. Outside of that, no, they don't. It's not a thing. Which is why those of you who had sex with Latin women who live in Latin America, not Latin women who live in the United States, Latin women who live in Latin America, they already have it in their head if they want to have a baby with you. So the ones who are careful, the smart ones, like, you better put on that condom because they know if they get pregnant, they're fucked. And in some of those Latin countries, abortion is illegal. So abortion's illegal, and then they got to raise the kid on their own because they can't get money out of you. It's not like America where they don't care. A lot of those women do care. And then the flip side, another percentage of women fall in love with you and are like, yeah, come inside me and make me pregnant. Woo! And we got a baby together. So they already have it in their head. These Latin women. Got to be careful. And I should talk about that. I can give more detail about my life, but no. Have you ever been with a woman being into fat dudes when you were heavier? Like one or two. That's very rare. If you are overweight, lose weight. I did. I'm still working on it. Lose weight. You have to. Your advice makes it highly unlikely I'll see grandkids and downright mathematically impossible to see great grandkids. No thanks. What? Let me say this again. You are going to live to age 100, no problem. Average life expectancy right now is 79, but that's with people who are 79 right now. Are you 79 right now? No, you're probably in your 20s or 30s statistically on this call, on this live stream. Even if you're 40s, you're going to live way past 80. You will see your grandkids if you have kids in your 40s. You absolutely will see your grandkids. Unless you say, I want to drink and smoke and do drugs the rest of my life and not worry about it. Well, then that's different. But if you're a normal, healthy guy, normal, functional person, you will absolutely have your grandkids if you get married in your 40s and have kids in your 40s. Yes, you will. You are incorrect. This is not 1950s where everyone died at age 65. Bogota is dangerous as fuck. Yeah, it's reasonably dangerous. You're right. When you set quarterly goals, should they be activity goals or result goals? Most quarterly goals will be activity goals. Most will. The way I do this, and I have a live stream coming up about this in Sovereign CEO on how exactly I do this. Most of those goals will be activity goals, and a handful will be result goals. You don't want too many result goals that are quarterly because you only have 90 days. But yeah, you have both, but the vast majority are going to be to-do items. Yeah. Good point. Thanks. You're very welcome. Hang on, let me take a drink. I can see you guys are thinking, this is good. This is good. Now, here's the thing. I don't tell people what to do. I'm alpha male 2.0. I'm not going to pit it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you want to go impregnate 10,000 girls, I'm just kidding. If you want to impregnate 8, 9 women in all these third world countries and throw $100 at them a month or whatever you're thinking because you think Andrew Tate's awesome, or if you really want to convert to Islam or even not convert to Islam, if you want to live with 2 or 3 wives and have kids with all of them, God, shoot me in the head. You really want to do that? Go ahead. It's your life. I'd rather shoot myself in the face, but it's your life. Do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my, on the ethical side of these things, and give you my opinion. On the logistical side, I'm right. You're going to have lots of drama if you have multiple wives, et cetera, so forth, so on. That's the way it goes. Been with a high-end MLTR for almost 7 years. Good for you. How to respond when her parents ask, when are you going to get married? Oh, you're going to get that question. I've gotten that question many times. Yes. OLTR is a possibility, but I haven't decided. Definitely no legal marriage, though. Well, OLTR is a possibility. Then the answer is, I don't know. And you just look at them like this. I don't know. Confidence. These kinds of questions you get from family members of girlfriends or MLTRs, confidence. I've told you guys the story several times. When Pink Firefly's mom, when we were dating, found out I was banging other chicks because she saw my blog and she lost her shit. And I texted her mom and said, let's go have coffee. Let's talk about it. We talked about it for an hour, complete turned her around. Confidence. Don't go, oh, well, no, confidence. Look her in the eye and tell her. It works. And her mom is Pink Firefly's mom. My mother-in-law is a dominant. A dominance dominant. You want to talk about dominant? Pink Firefly's mom. Wonderful person, love her to death. Dominant. You should see her husband falling around like a little puppy dog. And dominant. I mean, my daughter is a dominant, but my mother-in-law's 10x that. The opposite of Pink Firefly. Pink Firefly's like, am I even related to my mom? Because her mom, she doesn't look like her mom. It's just so funny. Her mom looks very young, like Pink Firefly does, but that's it. They don't look alike at all. Is it better to have an agreement with both women before I even have any child? That's what I just said 3 times. Yes. Or is it better that I have a child with the first woman, then I talk with this first woman about the idea of adding a wife? Oh, that's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. Now, I would not mislead the first woman. If this is in your head before you impregnate the first woman, I would tell her this. The OLTR talk, I just got done writing about this in the new version of The Unchained Man this morning when I was writing this. The OLTR talk, which you have before you convert her from MLTR to OLTR, before you upgrade her to girlfriend, certainly before you move in with her, is you're going to tell her all the negative things she's going to hate about you if you live together or get serious. I did this with Pink Firefly. There are 5 things that were all bad. You tell her every bad, horrible thing that she will hate. And then you watch her and see what she says. If she goes, well, fuck that, then she's out. Get a different OLTR. She doesn't qualify. If she survives it, like Pink Firefly survived it, then you move forward. So that's what you tell her. Hey, here's one of the negatives. We're going to have kids, but here's the thing. I want to have a kid with someone else. And you kind of go through the logistics, how that would work. And then you watch her carefully. She goes, what the fuck? And then this is not a woman for you. If she goes, yeah, okay, as long as this and this. You only get OLTRs that are compatible with you, which is what men don't do. Men get excited. They think with their dicks, they get one-itis, and they get a girlfriend. And then they have all kinds of problems and drama and explosions. Everything in life needs to be a strategic decision, including who your girlfriend is. That's why no girlfriends until you're 30, and no moving in with a girlfriend or wife until you're 35, for example. Why do you say not to escalate super hard on a girl on a day 2 at a bar date inside bar? Day 2? So you talking about day 2 or second date? Second date, you can escalate. You're misquoting me, or you don't understand my advice. If this is the second meet and you're at a bar, you can escalate all you want. That's fine. Ideally, you do that at home, but that's allowed, not on the first date. In your open relationships model, where is this phase? Is the talk phase? No. The talk is not there's the talk and there's the OLTR talk. So here's how it works. Phase 1 is the implicit phase. Phase 2 is the EFA phase, about 3 months. Phase 1 is about 2 weeks. Implicit phase, about 3 months. The talk is the third phase, 3 to 5 months plus in. That's the talk, not the OLTR talk. OLTR talk is if she's an MLTR and you've dated her for at least 6 months, she's been amazing, and you love her and you want to upgrade her, then you have the OLTR talk, which is different than talk. Having an international backup plan means you have residency in the backup country, but you live in the United States, correct? Correct. That is what it means. You live wherever you live. You have residency, more than just a residency. Residency, bank account. You know how to get an apartment there. You got stuff there. It's all ready to go. Not just residency. If you want a backup plan. Is there a reason you suggest bouncing her somewhere else to escalate super hard? Yes, because your odds for sex go up if you escalate in your house versus you escalate in public at a bar, right? Your odds of sex go up if you do it in private. If you isolate and then escalate, you don't have to. So if you're an attractive prospect, these Latinas will try to trap you. Some will, of course, especially if you're a Westerner, because they perceive you have money. Yes, if you have strong game, you do the cardinal rules, you're a Westerner, not entrap you. Trap you? What do you mean trap you? No, they're not going to try to trap you. That's Western women are going to get pregnant, say it's yours. The Latin girls are going to legitimately fall in love with you and want to have a baby with you because they love you. That's not trapping you. No, because they know they don't get child support. That's my point. If a Latin girl who lives in Latin America like wants to have a baby with you, she fucking loves the shit out of you because she knows she won't get child support if you leave. That's how much she loves you. And yes, you'll get those. Yes. Be careful. I want to have 2 wives. Do you think Latinas will go for that? Latinas are higher drama. So you're going to have more drama, statistically speaking, than Latinas and other races. Could they go for it? They might. With lots of drama, sure. If you want to have 2 wives, I hope you like drama. Or I hope you don't mind any drama. I hope you don't mind 2 women going, why did you do that? For the rest of your life. I hope you don't mind that. And some guys don't. Or some guys just put up with it, including Latin guys, Hispanic guys. I'm talking about this by blogs. Hispanic guys just kind of put up with this shit. Italian guys put up with this. Certain nationalities of guys just put up with this crap. I don't. I jump off a cliff. But that's me. OLTR doesn't really like non-monogamy. No, very few Western women like non-monogamy. You think Pink Firefly likes that I fuck other women every week? No. Very few Western women and very few non-Western women like non-monogamy. It's not relevant. And is only doing it for me to make me happy. Okay. Will she grow to resent me or will this cause problems in the future? She could. I don't know her. It's entirely possible. Yes. Most OLTRs are temporary, just like most monogamous relationships are temporary. Yes. That could happen. Yes. Could happen. In my case, it didn't happen until I came to Dubai, where like the most beautiful women in the world were. And then she started getting really like jealous, like, oh shit. So it depends on the scenario. It depends on a lot of things. Caleb, I'm going to meet up with a girl that really likes dick up the ass soon. Okay, great. I haven't ever banged a girl in the ass, but I played it off as I'm inexperienced. Is my lack of experience going to be obvious? Lack of experience having sex in the ass? Yes, it'll be obvious, but just make it a game. Say, well, I've never done this before. I'm an anal virgin. Get a lot of lube. So if you want a technique, she lays on her side. She may already know this. She'll probably show you this, but I guess it doesn't matter if she already likes it and you don't. So never mind. You don't need that technique. Any tips? Well, here's the technique for a woman who hasn't done it before. She's done it before, so she doesn't need to do this. The technique is she lays on her side. The leg on the top goes forward. The leg on the bottom stays straight, and you're behind her. You're going that way. Lots and lots and lots of lube. More than you think you'll need. Have some handy wipes available right by your hands. It's going to smell and get gross. What kinds of things determine whether a woman grows up to be a dominant or submissive? It's almost all of it is her personality plus her culture. I would say 60%, 70% of personality, 40 to 30% culture. Are there any quick ways to determine if a woman you're dealing with is a dominant or submissive in dating? You'll know in the first 10 minutes of the first date. Dominance, you'll know. You'll know. If she's a dominant, you'll know in 10 minutes or less. Sometimes you'll know in 1 minute. Dominants advertise themselves very quickly. You don't have to say, is she a dominant? I don't know. I've talked to her for 4 hours and I don't know. No. You'll know. You'll know. I know in seconds. I go to first date. If she's a dominant, yeah. She'll be very aggressive, dominant, strong eye contact, talking over you, giving your opinions, telling you where you're wrong. I should talk about it. Are there other ways to prevent this? I got to go. Let's see. Yeah, I got to go in a few minutes. Okay. Been talking for Hour and a half. Fucking hell, man. What time is it? Yeah, I got to go in a few minutes. Are there any other ways to prevent this resentment? Oh, you're not going to make OLTR? No, there isn't. Doing the cardinal rules. That's my standard answer to all this shit. Do the cardinal rules, and that'll minimize resentment. You can't prevent it. I don't want to knowingly keep hurting her if she doesn't want this, like me fucking other women. If it really fucking bothers her a lot and you can tell it really weighs on her mind and the relationship, you are hurting her and that you're not, it's not cool. And the relationship. If she occasionally bitches about it, that's normal. But if it really is hurting her, like she's crying and she's getting depressed and she just can't, she shouldn't be an OLTR. She doesn't qualify for an OLTR. So it depends how bad it is. And in order to minimize it, the cardinal rules. And there are different, if you read my book, The Ultimate Open Relationships Manual at haveopenrelationships.com, there's an entire separate set of cardinal rules for OLTRs. Follow those rules to the letter and follow all of them, not just some of them. And that will help lessen it. It won't prevent it. Remember, most women do not qualify for OLTR in any country. Western or non-Western, most women on the earth will never qualify for an OLTR. Most will not. You know how many women I dated as MLTRs before I found Pink Firefly? Like a lot. And a few of them were OLTR, a few, not many. Most women aren't going to qualify. And the more picky you are, like me, the less you'll have, even less. Some of you guys who don't mind drama, a little more. But again, most women are going to qualify for OLTR. Lots of women will qualify for MLTRs. And in my world, a huge amount of women will qualify for FB. Because there's only two requirements for FB. You got to be hot and not a bitch to me. You can be bitch to everyone else, but not to me. That's it. Only two requirements for FB. That's a lot of women. Most women aren't hot, but you get my point. Thank you. Top tier game. You're welcome. One more minute. Do you ever ask girls for an honest review about how good you fuck after banging them to get better at it and to get honest female feedback? Yes, but I don't say, did you like it? Am I good at fucking you? I don't ask like a beta male. I say, when I was doing this, did that feel good or bad or neutral? When I was doing that, did it feel good? Neutral. Okay. Well, what do you like? What makes you feel good? I narrow it down. I don't say, am I good? I'm not going to put it. I don't care if she thinks I'm good or bad. Don't care about that. So I ask more specifics, especially if they're relatively new. Yeah, I do ask those questions, but not, am I good? The old thing from the 80s was it good for you? No, that's a beta question. Who cares? I just read Get to Sex Fast, and I recommend the shit out of it. Well, great. That is how to do first and second dates and get to sex very quickly. That is one of my books, gettosexfast.com. Very practical and efficient, no bullshit approach to getting laid that generically applies to the average guy, not just Chads and rich guys. Correct. All of my advice is for normal guys. I come out of the pickup artist world, and it always drove me crazy when you had these successful pickup artists who were really good looking. I'm like, well, fuck, that doesn't help me. I was overweight back then, more than I am today. Well, that doesn't fucking help me. That's before I fixed my hair. I was balding, and some good-looking guy giving dating advice. Not gonna. I want to hear a fat, ugly fuck who's getting laid. Like back in the old days, Johnny Saporno. He was my guy. Short, fat, balding, ugly guy who banged porn stars without paying them any money. I'm like, okay, I'm listening to you. So yes, I give advice for normal guys to follow. And good-looking guys can benefit too. Same thing with my business advice. I don't say how to make $10 million. Most guys aren't going to do that. What I do say is how to make $85,000 in your own location-dependent business a year. Any guy can do that. Alpha Male 2.0 and Sovereign CEO, all aspects are doable by the typical guy. You don't have to be a superhuman to do what I do. Well, maybe not exactly what I do, but to date two women at the same time and have a location-dependent business with $85,000, any guy can do that. Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day who makes in the range of what I make, and we were having an honest discussion. I said, can all guys make what we make? And we're both like, no. Most guys can't make what we make or don't want to work that hard. But a percentage can. We were talking about those who can versus those who can't. And, well, could most guys make 100,000 a year? Like, yes. Vast majority could, yes. We had this interesting conversation about that. I would say his name, but he's a public figure. I don't know if he agrees with this stuff, so I can't tell you who it was. Is it wise strategy to OLTR an Asian woman rather than Latina? That is that is a matter of opinion. I love Asian women. I love Latino women. I love Asian girls. Keep Latinas at OLTR and only go for Asians of much older age. There's no right or wrong answers. What do you like? What do you like? You want to marry a Latina or an Asian girl? What do you like? Marry that. If you're over 35. I love Asian girls. Are you kidding? Oh, been with many. Love Latina girls for different reasons. Been with many. I can tell you for a fact, I've said this. If Pink Firefly got hit by a bus tomorrow and down the road, I would not have an OLTR for a long time. I would just have FBs and I would work my ass off. But anyway, and if I settled down with an OLTR later in my life, because she'd be dead, it wouldn't be an American woman. Not because I don't like American women, because that's just not the world I live in anymore. I don't live in America. So it'd be a woman who spoke English with a very strong accent. Why? Every woman in my life, except my wife. Well, that's not true. Just about every woman in my life, except my wife, speaks with a strong accent. She's from some other country or lives in some other country. So I'm used to that now. Yeah. Or guys whose full-time jobs is just chase pussy 24/7. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Do you ever tell them you are just an FB? No, you never say you're an FB. You never say that. No, never verbalize that. That's offensive to women. So could you have kids with an OLTR and two MLTRs? Yes, you could have kids with an MLTR. You could do that. Yes, I wouldn't, but you could. So in terms of identifying a dominant, okay, a few more questions. Let's do. Shit, I'm past time. One or two more questions. I got to go. So in terms of identifying a dominant versus submissive on a date, if she suggests changing the date venue, that's a telltale sign of a dominant? Yes, absolutely. Are there ways to tell for how she texts? Yeah, it's harder. That's harder. If she suggests a different venue, dominant. An independent or a submissive would never do this. So yes, that's a dominant. Other than that, is it hard? Nah. If she makes a bunch of demands on text, but a lot of dominants aren't going to do that. Just meet up with her. If you're not sure, meet up with her, and you'll know in a minute. You'll know. I was not going to say this. I had an experience a while back with a dominant woman from Russia, of course, and it was so funny. She's just so dominant and saying all the standard dominant stuff. I could mouth what she was saying as she was saying it. Really cool person. Dominants are great people, and you can have FBs as dominants. That's okay. Not MLTRs. But it's just so funny. Like, yep, now you're going to say this. Oh, you just said it. Now you're going to say that. Okay, you just said that. I mean, oh, God. You should do more collabs with Playing with Fire, Alex, and UMP, Marcus, Alex. Those masterminds are great. So the problem with those is it took us weeks, and I mean this, weeks of group texts between the four of us to find a time when all four of us were available. We all travel the world. We all do 5 flags. We all have multiple women, or most of us have multiple women. We work. I mean, it was a nightmare from hell. Okay, I can do this. Well, I can't do that. It's just watching that group text is so funny. So that's the problem. Getting 4 people together is harder than you think. Especially 4 people who are Alpha Male 2.0 or Alpha Male 2.0-ish, international. And the Red Pill guys are easier because Red Pill guys just stay where they are. They live in the collapsing USA or wherever they are. They just, it's easier to schedule with the things that Rolo does. Those are easier, but yeah. All right, last question. Then I got to go. Curious about your business program. I've been trying to reach prospects via cold email. Cold email is not a good idea. Upwork and LinkedIn. Reaching prospects via Upwork? That makes no sense. LinkedIn is good. No responses, engagement. Why or how would your program change the situation for me? Number one, we'd make you niche. I have a feeling you're probably not niche at all. You're probably not niched worth a shit. So we have you niche. Then we'd have you identify a problem in that niche. So you're not just selling something you think people need, but something they actually want. And B, we give a methodology for reaching out on LinkedIn. Not cold email and not Upwork. You can hire people on Upwork. You don't reach out for prospects on Upwork. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Cool. All right. I will see you guys later. I have one last thing as I've been late on doing the live streams. It's my team is because I've been late. So we're going to schedule out the next month of live streams for both channels. the next 4 weeks in advance. It's awesome. So I'll see you guys for Sovereign CEO live stream / podcast on Monday. Cool? Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.